The dad.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Dadcast episode. I think we're at 4 now. I'm Expert Girl. This is Tugs, and we have the OG Daddy, Chris Gore.
She said it. She said, "I win. I can quit everything now." She said it.
I'm only comfortable calling you a daddy because I feel like I'm comfortable enough with you to do that.
Well, are you the one that says that audio clip, Daddy, chill? Is that you?
Chill. No.
It's not
that's
you.
That's the black guy with the long hair that goes, Daddy, chill.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what that is. I assumed it was you. I'm having all these technical problems. I'm gonna make adjustments or whatever.
I'm gonna find you that clip because this is.
I feel like we need to use it as a sound alert now, like a sound thing on our.
Oh, you have to have the sound, Daddy, chill. You have to have it on here.
Yeah, we need it now.
Now with that intro, it feels like I'm on Poor Choices because that's the intro from Poor Choices. Do you not have an intro for Dadcast yet?
We don't
Not
yet. No.
No.
I think we should include this clip in the intro for Dadcast.
Yeah.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
You understand that now?
Oh my God. Wait, but who's the person saying Daddy, chill?
No idea. It's a guy with long hair.
All of you.
Daddy, chill.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Oh my God.
Oh,
I don't know. I think it's just someone filmed it, and I guess they were on his property. Maybe, I don't know.
That's
I feel
weird.
like that should just be our intro for Dadcast. Like, nothing else, just that clip, and then like
Right.
Dadcast.
Can we put zipper on the guy's face and go, what the hell is even that?
What the hell is even that?
It was Dadcast. Because I feel like that's a conversation you and I have had. I'm like, we should call it Daddycast. You're like, what is that? We're not calling it that. And that's exactly what it sounds like. So.
Mm-hmm. So I have to thank Chris because he's the one that christened this title.
Literally, we were like, I think we were just talking. Gary and I were getting into like sort of like just dad advice and just like simple advice about being a parent. And I was like, someone should do a show called Dadcast. And I was so happy that you volunteered because I don't want to do that. I don't want to do another show. I have a hard enough time juggling all the shows I'm on and then shows I do on a regular basis. So you doing this, you're doing a service.
I hope so.
Like now, wait, I heard a rumor. Is Chrissy Mayer pregnant?
Yes.
I wonder if it's true.
She announced it. We can talk about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I got a little suspicious. So I'm just cutting back on my.
When?
Drinking. This is
anime.
She
announced it on Twitter. And
What's
on
that?
Instagram and on Simcast first. And then yeah. You know, and it all comes together because the Simcast that we were on or that I was on a few weeks ago, she flat out was like, "Oh my God, I'm so hungover." You're not hungover. You're having baby symptoms.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I can't wait. I cannot wait until on FNT we're supposed to tell the story of how we found out early.
Oh wow.
But Gary said because he wanted to save it. But yes, Chrissy Mayer is pregnant with a boy.
Oh my God.
Yay!
Now,
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
so do they make zero alcohol White Claw? How is she gonna survive?
They do. I don't know about White
You have to be
Claw. They have, like,
basic.
zero alcohol wine, beer, liquor. They have zero alcohol like vodka and stuff. Like yeah.
Is it
They
just
have
water?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I guess
Oh
it
my
tastes
God.
like it. I have no
Like
idea. I've not
flavored
tried it.
water.
Yeah. Let's Google. Let's find out. Zero.
Yeah, I know there's zero alcohol beer.
Alcohol.
That's no fun. But
White.
the baby's so cute. You can see his little brain.
Oh, that's nuts. I remember that phase. I have all those pictures.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How was it the first time you found out you were having a baby and your baby's gender and all that? Like, how was that?
Well, first of all, I'm thankful that my kids grew up in an era where I'm not waiting for the preschool teacher or kindergarten teacher to declare my kid's gender. Number one, I'm very old school based dad, but we found out like my then girlfriend, who became my wife later, actually before my daughter was born, we did get married in Vegas at Graceland Chapel, which was from what everyone who attended says the most fun they've ever had at a wedding, because it was Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas.
And Elvis was there.
Elvis was there. It was super fun. It was great. But both of my kids were born in September. I'm a September baby. So my birthday is September 5th. And my kids are the 9th and the 12th. So a lot of sex happening over the holidays is all.
Yeah. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
You gotta stay warm somehow. I mean,
exactly.
You're in California. How cold can it get?
It gets pretty cold in Cali, actually.
Oh wait, where were you? Where did you live?
No, I was living in California. I moved to LA in 1989 from Michigan. And yeah, no, it gets cold. I mean, it's not like, look, it's no Michigan weather. It's not Canada, that's for sure. But it's, it gets down into the 40s at night, sometimes colder. I've seen it snow. It hailed last winter.
In Cali?
Yeah, it hailed. Yeah, it was great. I love it. I think I put pics on my Instagram. But anyways, yeah, so found out that my then girlfriend was pregnant, and I was super excited. Honestly, I was could not be more thrilled, super excited. I had imported her from Michigan. She was my girlfriend in Michigan. We moved out to LA, and I quickly learned, oh, wow, girls in LA are crazy. So this is great. Like I don't have to, she's very based in common sense. And I was super excited. And she said, look, and I was like, great, we're going to have a little Gore. I said, no, you're not. You're not going to have a little Gore unless you marry me.
That's fair.
Oh, that's cute.
I did the right thing, proposed. We got married. She was pregnant. She was 5 months pregnant when we got married.
Oh my God.
Which was nuts. And then I was just always wanted to be a dad. I don't know what it is. There's something about like just passing on things you've learned or whatever. You get like, you instantly have like a friend to do stuff with, whether it's play video games or reread books you read as a kid and rediscover them. And and then everything they do is the first time they've done a thing. So like, thankfully, my then wife was very disciplined about like, our kids are not going to have dessert at every meal. That's ridiculous. This is bad. Fair. So they would have something sweet after dinner, but it was like raspberries or watermelon or cantaloupe, right? Like, so they had fruit for dessert. Fruit was dessert. And both my kids are like skinny kids who are in very good health, have had almost no health problems their whole lives. That's awesome. I have to give her credit for that. But it's great because when they eat a strawberry, it's like, this is the first time they're tasting a strawberry. What does a baby or a kid's face look like when they have a kiwi for the first time?
Or a lime in my
right.
case with my nieces. That was
a lime fun. Or
they're like,
go to a movie. I took my daughter to see The Lion King. That was her first movie that she saw in a theater. It was 1994. Yes. We saw The Lion King in a theater. She kind of got it. I mean, she was 2, but she was captivated. Big screen stuff happening. So everything is a first time experience. And it's so amazing to like, just live that. The other thing is what's great also about having kids, it gives you an excuse to get out of things you don't really want to do. So it's like,
sorry, I can't. I have children.
Yeah. No, but it's like,
they have a bedtime.
Man, guys, I can't go to the bar with the where we always do the same thing. Like, not that I didn't go out, like we went out, and did stuff. But it gives you an out for anything, leaving a party early, whatever you want to do, it gives you an out for not doing things. The other thing
And people can't pressure you.
No pressure. It's like, well, that's the best excuse ever. So, but people who didn't like kids loved my kids because because they were taught to be polite, like basic stuff. Like if you offered like my son a drink or my daughter a drink, they'd say, this is what I taught them to say. No, thanks, but thank you for offering. So if they didn't want it, right? So they were always super polite. And so I was really proud of that. And plus, I used my son and daughter to play practical jokes a lot. So there's this video I had taken down from YouTube. I have to find it. I'll find it. But it was always taken down based on complaints. This is like 15 years ago. So I took, I used to, with my buddies, we'd work on cars and motorcycles, right? This is when you could actually work on them without having a computer. So I had I had a 65 Ford Fairlane painted champagne gold. I had a 1972 Triumph Daytona 500 that I drove everywhere. When I drove my motorcycle, I never drank. So in the 90s, I rode a motorcycle to work and whatnot, but I would not drink alcohol. I drank like non-alcoholic beer when I went to the bar with my bike, but I was very responsible about it. We'd always work, on the weekends, working on our cars and motorcycles. Very manly thing to do. I can see the quizzical looks on your faces, like just the idea of like you sit there and you kind of argue about the correct way of doing things.
Oh no, I get it.
It's a bonding experience.
Back in the day, we didn't have phones to scroll on, so you had to entertain yourself
or like search for things on how to do things.
Right,
got to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, I know it's a shock to some of you, but
you had to get a big instruction manual. And then I had 2 sets of tools. Because I had metric system tools because I had a British bike, and so we were always like arguing and yelling, and it was fun. And my daughter would just hang out and she'd help, sort of pretend to help. And which was great. She was just like around, and we'd play surf punk and just work on our cars, motorcycles. So we were always playing practical jokes with this camcorder. I'll find this footage.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh my gosh.
So
I want to see it.
I took an empty bottle of Miller High Life beer.
Oh no.
And I poured apple juice in it. And I shook it up so that it had a foam. And I'm sitting there with my then wife, and I walk out, and I've got my daughter, and I'm like, hey, check it out. She loves beer. I was just giving her, and she loved it, and she wanted more. And you see the look on her face. It's just like, she comes over and takes the hose and starts squirting me. It's hilarious. But you see me like, and all the comments on this post, I mean, they took it down. All the comments are, how could this, and it was like irresponsible dad giving daughter beer.
Oh my God.
I never revealed it, but it's like apple juice. It was just apple juice.
That's so funny.
I can see why it was taken down.
Right? I mean, I'm just thinking like, meanwhile, in certain families and in certain parts of the world, like if you can reach the bar top, they're like, here you go.
Like in France, they just, from when they're kids, they just drink it.
My mom would put whiskey on our gums as babies when we were teething because it helped us sleep, and which it got us a little bit buzzed.
Yeah,
and it helped us ease the pain.
Yeah, not like you're taking a shot, but a little thimble and like it does ease that pain.
Some blackberry brandy at 6, it's fine.
But it's weird, then my son was born almost exactly 2 years after my daughter, and it's like the first one is always like you're worried about everything. And the second one's you're like, I got this. I've been through it. I got it. Because I think I read part of like one book, like what to expect when you're expecting, which is actually, I'm sure they've done an update. Yeah, an updated version of that.
Are those books good at all? Or
I remember learning interesting basic stuff. I mean, the stuff that I know that was like helpful was like actually advice I just got from friends, which was useful. I mean, one thing, we didn't do disposable diapers, which was the smartest thing I ever did. We used the Daddy. This is I don't know how many people are going to tune in or watch it live. Daddy diaper service, which is these cloth diapers, and you buy about 50 of them and you own them forever. And then once a week you put them in a hamper They pick them up, they wash your diapers because they have your name on it, and then they're cloth diapers. They're better for kids, better for the environment. Let me just say this. These diapers are the most, I still to this day have these cloth diapers. They're so soft. I use them to wax my car.
I thought you were about to say something else. Oh my God.
No, I don't use them for anything weird.
Oh my Lord. I wonder if
They are
everywhere.
It's better for the environment. They're clean. They're cleaner. You don't get baby rash, right? I think parents get lazy with like the disposable diapers. It's really horrible. Like the diety, you buy like a big stack of 50 or 100 of them. You own those diapers until your kid is out of diapers. And we did that, and it was so great. And then we just kept the diapers as rags. They're the greatest rags I've ever. I cannot find rags. Yeah. Well, no, they look different. They look like the ones that we had back in the day, the diety ones we had were like cloth, where you actually used a safety pin.
Oh, wow. Oh, you had to like wrap it yourself.
Old school. Yeah. It was like, and the way I sort of in my head was able to like, cause you kind of have to compartmentalize because the smell gets weird based on what they're eating. But I looked on it as it's the reverse of making a burrito. That's kind of like in my head. It was just like, it's just the reverse of that. That's all this is. So, but I loved when my kids were that age, it was super fun. And then you get to introducing them to movies they haven't seen. Every movie you get to rewatch, whether it's like old Disney. You just rewatch them and they're seeing them for the first time. I don't remember when I saw Bambi for the first time, but I remember when my daughter and son did. And when they're ready, you kind of know by certain ages. But the other thing is the diaper thing, it does get tiresome, right? It does get like, so there's two other quick things. One, like that whole thing of like that people complain about, you're not getting any sleep. You're not getting any sleep. I didn't care. Like something happens to certain, and this doesn't happen to every parent. Some people, like, they say it like, I used to have a completely photographic memory, 100%. Like I could remember like photographic memory. After my kids were born, I lost that. My memories lost because like a hard drive, you sequester a certain part of your brain only for your children.
So that area is now cordoned off. That's holding that, and it's not enough room to have photographic memories now.
And then you get mom brain.
Like mom brain, look, dad brain too. But like some people have the opposite where they like don't have the same kind of bonding reaction. But I did. I remember like, God, my memory's not as good because I'm never not having a thought, right? Like that is related to my kids, especially then when my goal as a parent is to teach them things so they can live without me around. That's your number one goal, your number one job as a parent, I believe. I feel really strongly about this is you have to teach them things. I'm not their friend. Like I'm not their friend. Now I'm friends with my kids because they're adults. But when they were kids, I was always the parent and not the parent that this is a typical LA thing. And I remember seeing this, used to drive me crazy when I would see a parent look at their 3-year-old who is like pulling the parent, wants to go somewhere else, and like, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Oh, God.
It's not about them.
I would never have said that to my kid. And if they get choices by certain ages within boundaries. Like we can have pizza or macaroni and cheese, and you're going to have a vegetable, right?
That's fair,
Yeah, but like they don't get to just have whatever they want because they're idiots. They're stupid.
It's one way to put it, but it's actually true because I see it. You definitely see it in hospitals. What kids are actually the ruler of the house and which kids are actually the ones that are, respectful to their parents based on how they act in the room. Now, of course, if you're a toddler, I'm not going to think that, oh my God, the kid runs the house. They're going to just be scared of everything. It's the dark, big noises and whatnot. But I've seen like 6-year-olds have a freak out. And I think it's 6, unless you're a really sensitive kid at that age, you should be able to listen to basic sit still.
Yeah.
Stay.
Well, it's two things. One, like my then wife and I, we're always on the same page. Like you can't renegotiate with dad because mom said no. If mom said no, dad also says no. You have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Now, if there's disagreement, we would talk about it. The other thing that we had a rule was if we ever got in a fight in front of our kids, we would always make up in front of the kids.
Oh, I love that.
So they would see that mommy and daddy can have conflict, but mommy and daddy come together and resolve. And we would be, we would like, even if we had already resolved it behind the scenes, we would do it again performance wise in front of the kids. So they would see like, you're going to get in conflicts with other people, but you always resolve that. You always resolve that. So
I love that.
I'm going to take that lesson actually.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too. Like one of the things, like when you've got kids that it's not a lot you can do. Right. And the one thing that would bother me is restaurants in LA in particular. They're just sort of these snooty restaurants when they see a family coming with kids, they're like, so we would go to family restaurants. Like there was this one Mexican restaurant called Acapulco we would go to because they had kids. You got to go to restaurants that have kids menus. Just make sure you do it. Kids menus. But barbecues are super fun because you can bring your kids and they can run around and do their own thing, usually play with other kids if they're in attendance. But the best thing is when you go there and they're out of diapers. How do you get your kids out of diapers? I know how to do this.
Oh, good. Can you teach us?
You mean like remove their diapers in public or like stop them from ever using diapers?
No. Like they go from diapers to wearing just potty trained. You get a potty
training. Sorry, it was just.
Extra girls, like you just have your kids walking around naked in restaurants. That's so weird.
How do you potty train your kid? A friend of mine named Leon Corcus taught me this, and I have passed it on. Every person I know, like if they've just had a baby, I tell them like, make sure you do. You're not going to forget this. It's very simple. First, they need to show interest because diapers are not comfortable to wear, and they shouldn't be. You release materials into it. It's not fun to walk around with a wet or dirty diaper, and they smell bad. And kids also don't like to feel this way, right? That's why babies cry when they have a dirty diaper, right? When they show interest in wanting to, get out of diapers, you get the little potty, right? Get the potty, you put it in the bathroom. You also get a big clear jar, and you fill it with anything colorful treat, candy, gummies, Starburst, jelly bellies, whatever it is. You take this jar filled with all these treats and you put it up on a very high shelf that they cannot reach. So every time they do something in the potty, they've, relieved themselves in the potty. They'll come, daddy, look what I did. And you see like, oh, I see something in the potty. Some business was handled and they got it in the potty. You bring down that jar and you give them, they can pick one.
It's Pavlov's response.
It's like training a puppy.
Yeah.
They'll be potty trained in less than a week. I guarantee it.
Puppy training.
Now they'll have accidents. And that's because that's just normal. But that'll get them to like want to use the potty, and then eventually you wean them from you're not getting any more treats. This is just what humans do. So
I want treats now every time I go to the bathroom.
Well, there you go.
Well, as adults, we can have treats. A shot of whiskey every time I go.
It's basically just like training a puppy. Every time the puppy goes on the pee pad, you get a little treat.
Yes. Positive.
Baby.
Yeah, positive reinforcement does work.
I love it.
I can't say I haven't spanked my kids. It was very few amount of times in their lives, less than the fingers on my hand. But one time I did. I remember my son left the house and walked around the block by himself. He's like 3.5, and then proceeded to go across the street. And I will say this, parents, a lot of modern parents, they're like, no spanking. I'm not going to spank my kid. the thing is, at that age, they don't understand words all that well, but they understand a swat to the bottom, and they will remember to never do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a thing. They will remember to never do that again. You're not going to sit there and reason with a child that's so young. They'll remember, and it's not like you never do anything like that in anger. It's always like, I'm going to swat. It's going to scare them. It scares them more than it physically hurts them because you're not swatting them very hard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
My mom said
You're not
the same
swatting
thing.
hard.
She never hit me hard.
Yeah,
I
especially if there's a
perceived it as
diaper,
hard.
like you cut them on the butt and with the diaper on, they're not gonna feel it anyway. It's just more of like a what the heck was that? You know.
Well, I have a question for both of you. Were either of you spanked as kids, even if it was like, okay?
Oh, I had the long chopstick too.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Ouch.
Okay, another
My
question.
nana used to do that. If we reached across the table, she would take the butter knife, not the sharp side down, but the flat side down, and whack you on the back of the hand.
I love that.
Only did that once. That hurt like a son of a.
Like, you know not to do that afterwards.
I love
Do
your
not
grandma.
reach. I'm gonna do that with my kids. You do not reach across this table.
Now, a follow-up question for both of you. They say, I read that if you were spanked as a kid, you, as an adult, are into spanking when it comes to foreplay. Is this? Can we confirm this fact?
Not for me. No,
Hey, you spank me sometimes, Tugs.
that's true.
She's into spanking
But
other
it's
people.
not a foreplay thing. It's a football player.
Pat, a little Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this
I
is-
do that to Mark
Look.
all the time. He's got a booty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's just something that I heard. I just wanted to confirm with you both, see if that was something.
Mm-mm.
Gosh.
I'm not trying to turn this into the whatever podcast or anything.
Now, what's your body count?
Yeah. What's your body count? What's your body count? What's your situationship?
We were talking earlier, and Chris was talking about how he felt about the body count, which, in my opinion, I've never really talked about body counts with my husband because it doesn't matter. Like, in this
Right.
end, I want to know who you are. But let's open the floor to what you think about that.
Well, first of all, I never asked my wife what her body count was. I never asked. I've asked, and I've had, like, since I got divorced around like 2005, I've had like 3 serious girlfriends. I never asked them. It seems like a weird question to ask because then you've got to go down the road and then it feels like you're obsessing about that. I don't think that matters. I think what does matter is, what's probably more important is how many relationships have you been in, right? Like, if you've reached a certain age and you've never had a serious relationship, red flag. Or if you're like in your early 20s and you've had a lot of relationships, that also might be a red flag. I'm not talking about body count. I'm talking about, just relationships. Also, another thing, I had this girlfriend once who asked me if I had how many female friends I had. She used that as a gauge of, are you able to have healthy relationships with a woman because you have female friends? And oddly,
Interesting.
I have a lot of female friends. I think it's because, I was raised by a single mom. She was very strong. I had 2 aunts that helped raise me, grandmother. I also had 3 sisters. One was the sister I grew up with. I had a half sister because my dad got remarried. Then I had a stepsister because my mom got remarried. So I have a lot of women in my life, right? Like, and so I feel like sometimes I feel like I can speak womanese.
To be honest, Chris, we've had a lot of conversations
Mhm.
just about life and whatnot, and you're probably one of like the easiest people to talk to about any subject.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were also very open, and you know yourself. Like, when someone doesn't, you know yourself, Tugs, you know yourself. Like, you've reached that age where you know who you are, you know your boundaries and whatnot, and that makes it just easier to talk about stuff. But yeah, having female friendships is important. I'm very close with my sister I grew up with. We talk all the time. And yeah, like, I don't know, we talk about parenting stuff, but what's weird is, I mean, like, I know you're doing the show and there's lots of info, but literally I could probably put everything you need to know about parenting in a pamphlet.
A
It's,
We'll do it
pamphlet?
and then sell it. And then I want to buy one.
well, it's not that hard. And I'm going to tell you kind of what the secret, which ties to almost like any situation. And this is where parenting goes wrong. Is you just do what you say you're going to do.
What? We don't do that.
Your
As a
kids.
species? Come on.
And I'll tell you how this plays out like in reality. So you're talking to your kids and you say, if you don't say finish the vegetables on your plate, no video games tonight. Now, most parents have no will. They don't have a backbone. And because they hear the complaining and that works, they bend. And kids sense weakness.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
My mother
they
did
train
that.
you.
Yep. Yeah, they train you. My mother used to threaten to throw our toys away if we didn't clean up our room. She would threaten and never did it. And one time my dad was like, that's it. And he came in with a shovel. And like scooped them all. We were hysterical. Oh, he scooped them all in the big black trash bags, put them in the garage to throw away later. And then my mom like ended up moving them and she would give them back to us like at Christmas.
Oh,
Like,
there you go.
oh, you've been good. Here's your toy bags. And then we played her game even more. Oh, it was bad.
Yeah.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
It's really simple with like the punishment or reward thing is you just keep your word, because the minute your kids sense that there's weakness, they'll take advantage. They'll take advantage. So you just have to keep your word to your kids. And, it's going to take some patience. But, if you do that, they just end up being better kids, because kids at the end of the day, they actually want boundaries. They want discipline. When I say discipline, I don't mean like, smacking them. I mean discipline in terms of like, you tell them this is how it's going to go. And then you just stick to that. But we have a generation, and I see it in public all the time.
Oh, it's so scary.
Yes. Yeah, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, says no me without you.
2 miles.
There you go.
2 miles even.
Yeah, you cannot do that. Once you lay out the boundary, that is that. And
It really is. It's like the rules of a game. If I shoot it outside the goalie, I'm not going to get a point.
Right.
You have to get it within the bounds. You can't just change the rules. And I think a lot of parents that I've seen, especially the we'll call it weaker ones, they might not be physically weak, but mentally they have their kids walk all over them.
Well, the other thing I see too is that it is a lot, and this isn't always the case, but in my personal experience, if your parents are not a united front, that's also because you'll always break the one. Usually it's the mom.
Yes.
Oh, really? For me, it's dad.
Usually it's mom. And I also had a single mother, which is a lot easier. Weirdly enough, at least back then, I don't know what it's like now, but single moms were so easy to break because they're tired, they're working all day, and they don't want to deal with it. And so you're just like, oh, okay, bye. I'm going to go do what I want. And so that's how we got away with that. But if your parents, single or not single, divorced, not divorced, together, whatever, are not a united front against your little turd self, you're always going to win. Like, you're never going to get a wrangle on them. Which
It's
is
important.
how you have teenagers act out, where you have these girls sneaking out of their windows, like all this stuff. That's how that happens.
And I think it's important. Like, I used to do what I called dad mode. I would go into dad mode. And dad mode is because I think it's important also for your kids to have healthy fear. And by fear, the biggest fear they should have is fear of disappointing a parent.
Yes.
And that is a good fear to have. And I used to go into what I call dad mode, and my kids could tell by the tone of my voice.
Yes. Or a certain look.
Yes. You should do oh my God, you could do dad ASMR. Pick up these clothes right now. You need to get those clothes picked up. You need to do it in the next 20 minutes. Get it done. I will be back to check. And I think the quieter I was and the tone, they were like, it was just, you'd see them scramble and they're putting the toys away or whatever it was. I mean, obviously you have your relationship evolves as they age. Once they get to teenagers, they specifically have this is actually wired in their lizard brains. They are going to rebel against you. They are 100%. It is wired in their brains to basically, and there's a really good scene in a movie, because I relate a lot of things to movies. It's a movie called SLC Punk. And there is a scene with Matthew Lillard where he talks to his parents and he tells them to fuck off. He basically says, fuck you. Except if you watch the scene, he's actually not saying that. He's telling them he loves them. But he's telling them he loves them by telling them fuck you because he's his own person now. And it happens, I think it happens later with kids now, but at a certain point, you're going to have this conflict with the parents. When they're teenagers, they are moody. They're dealing with hormones. And in my day, you just sort of used to deal with that. You get through that. Puberty sucks. You're dealing with all sorts of emotions. And then you're fine.
Yeah.
Now we found a way to profit from that, which is kind of I don't agree with. I don't think this is the correct way to deal with these things. You should learn to accept yourself, accept your weird body. It is weird when you're like growing up a certain age. Yeah, I remember like
it feels weird everywhere.
Everything feels weird, and it hurts in places because you're like your legs are growing.
My calves hurt from the growing pains. My chest hurts. I don't know, for guys, maybe it's their sack hurts.
Well, yeah, there are other things. But yeah, growing pains. Oh, I remember like waking up with like pain in my legs. It's like, yeah, but it's just, that's normal. It's, you know, you have to go through it. And that's the way it is. But I do believe teenagers have to have a healthy amount of rebellion. If I think a child is too dutiful, how are they going to survive without you, without a parent? Like, I was like, oh, okay, you know, she's going through teen years. He's going through teen stuff. He's like moody and whatever. And that's like, all right, just be moody. You have to allow them to have those moods. You have to know, like, that's when you become not cool. Because up until then,
really police them, right?
Yeah. But up until then, you have been so cool. You're the cool. This is my cool dad, and we play catch, and we do these things.
They love hanging out with you.
Love hanging out with you, and then they get to a point where they do not want to hang out with you. They'd rather be with their friends, and you got to monitor that because, because there's so many things you can try to restrict your kids from, but they have friends. And their friends may not have rules that align with yours. Their friends' parents, right? So it's tough. You've got to instruct them in a way that they'll make good decisions when you're not around, right? When you're not around to enforce or guide, how do you instill that in them? And I think a lot of that is by example. A lot of it is being consistent. A lot of it is following rules. We even had like posted rules. I was so anal about this stuff. This is like, I had like, here's every phone number. And it was like, by the phone. This is like when houses had phones.
I memorized those numbers. It was like,
all the numbers of the school and the teacher and the this and neighbors and whatever.
I had
all the
so
phone
many numbers memorized
by the phone. Then you had like, this is your job. This is what you're responsible for, your rules, and look, you're going to have kids slide. That's just normal. And I'm not going to sit here and even like tell you like I'm perfect as a parent. I think probably one of the things I did was because I like playing video games. I would play video games with my son, and to encourage him and kind of let him win, to give him hope, and then
just tear him down.
very quickly, it got to a point where I couldn't beat him, and that was a mistake. I was just like, wait, he's better at these games than I am.
I'm actually trying and it's not working.
Oh my God, it pissed me off. So I was like, I shouldn't have been easy on him. The only games I could beat my son at a certain age were sports games because I knew the rules. So I knew we'd play like Madden, and I play Madden and I could beat him because I knew, play action is a good play to play in Madden. But yeah, so like those things, like I probably should have been tougher on him. when it came to video games, but I want to like I always have a player too, right? Sitting down with my son, we'd sit there, you know, it'd be some sports game or something like Primal Rage or Street Fighter, and we had a blast. Like, you know,
I think you're definitely onto something. One of my favorite celebs that I listen to for like a podcast, he says, for the first little bit, you have to let them win so they know it's fun, but then you got to beat them so that when they lose,
I should have done that more.
They can take it with grace and, you know, not be a sore loser or a sore winner.
Right.
So that's something I learned listening to that podcast. But yeah.
Well, yeah, and I've been watching your gaming. I love the cyberpunk stuff. Although I'm trying to convince Gary to play YouTuber's Life. Like that's an actual game.
I don't think he will.
It's literally a game where you are a YouTuber.
Did he ever get out of the room in The Witcher?
Yes.
He did, yeah.
Oh,
yes,
well,
eventually he
Geezer
did.
Gaming.
Geezer Gaming. Oh my God.
It would be, I think if you did that, Geezer, because the thing is this, when Az or Mahler play games, they're actually good at them. You're good at games too. You're good at games. Like, I'll throw on a game stream. It's relaxing, you know?
Well, I'm just like chilling.
Love it, like chilling. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to buy this game, but I get to see it and it's cool. I like the Gollum game. I actually sent a link to Gary, like, hey, you should check this out.
I want to play that.
When Az was playing it, and it's like he questioned his life. Why am I? This game was so poorly done.
Yeah, but he does it to himself. That's what I keep saying.
But I love it.
Like he's playing King Kong right now, and
is he really? Oh, I gotta watch.
And that apparently, according to the internet, it's like a scam. And the picture of it, that just from the game, looks like a animation a very young child did.
Oh my
it's not
God!
very good. It's
I can't wait. I'll tune into Az to watch that. But it's but like so you know, look, I can't say I was the perfect dad, but my goal was, I remember thinking this when my daughter was born. I remember thinking this, and I weirdest thing. So I was so excited to be a dad, as I was saying at the beginning of the show, and then I was like, I really want like a son so I can play, you know, sports. We'll play catch, we'll play football, we'll play. And I found out I was having a daughter, and I was like, okay. I was a little disappointed at first. And then I was in the room with both my kids were born, but it's not as, it's not like it is in the movies. X-Ray Girl, you probably have some, you know, it's like the movie Alien, but maybe with more blood. In the scene with Kane, where the alien sort of comes forth. And there were two, I had, actually, my then wife had 2 C-sections, right? So the second time I said, hey, just cut on the dotted line.
Yeah,
you know,
it's already there.
Yeah, my instinct sometimes when I'm nervous or I don't know what to say is I'll make a joke, right? Inappropriate joke, and of course she'll be angry. But I saw my daughter, like I was the first person she made eye contact with. I was the first person to physically hold her. She's covered in, you know, it's like blood and mucus and just all the stuff that comes out. And I just lost it. I lost it. The emotions were so strong, and it was like I couldn't. And then I felt that, and then later I felt angry. So my daughter was born in 92. I felt angry from the standpoint of, I said, you know, at the time things are a little different now, but I felt like, wow, women, they don't have it as easy as men, and I felt a little. Like you become, I think dads of daughters are different than dads who only have sons. I feel a bit more empathy for women because I have a daughter who we see each other every week. We go to a movie every week. She comes to my movie meetup group and we see whatever. Sometimes the movies are good, sometimes they're not. But yeah, I think it is very different to be a father to a daughter than a father to only sons. You see the world a little differently. You see, like, it's just knowing, like, there are certain situations you will not put yourself in for your own safety, right? As a woman, that's just reality. And I feel like I understand that, having a daughter and then also having 3 sisters. And close women. I feel maybe a bit more empathy for maybe female characters in stories, or it's different. The problem is in fiction when they just want to make the female characters male characters.
Yeah.
Male characters with breasts. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Like Captain Marvel is one of the worst characters. And then there are other characters that are solidly strong females. That's different than a strong man. It's a different kind of strength. So
yes, absolutely. And I think it's understated, especially today, because we want to be strong like men, but it's like the stuff that you do, bearing a child. Not every woman can bear a child. I'm not talking about the trans folks. Some people just can't have children due to their anatomy. But it is one of the most difficult things you can do. But there's other things that you have to overcome. And sometimes it's intellect. Sometimes it's emotion. So everyone can be strong just in different ways. And that's totally understated in pop culture.
100%. But I felt like this like intense love and connection and like just like that's forever. I'm with this person, my daughter. I felt the same way when my son was born. Same experience. The first person to make eye contact, covered in goop and whatever, and I was in the room, and it's just I can't even describe the experience. Like for people who haven't had kids like that, it's incredible. So, but I also felt like looking around at Los Angeles, at how moronic a lot of parents are. I think they're even stupider today with like, here's a screen that can do the parenting for me, right? Like when you see literally children with iPads at a store because a mother doesn't want to, actually have the attention on their kid. And that's the thing, like, that's the thing that you can give. We lost.
Jeez, X-Ray. It was just the microphone. Calm down.
Yeah. Maybe she has to go back and kind of fix the settings.
Jeez.
But yeah. Well, by the way, we were late, not because of Gary. It was because of me. Everyone was on time. I had to reboot my computer so that
he pulled the tugs. Everything. He had to restart the whole. You guys know. You've been here. You know how it goes when Tugs is on a stream. Nothing goes right ever.
It's fine though. It's fine.
But I totally I agree. And I've seen it, I call myself old, but I'll be 36 next weekend or this weekend. And so I've seen I've seen it growing up with no technology to having technology thrust in our faces and not knowing what to do with it because we're like, what the heck is this? And then now being proficient at most of it. And then watching these kids behind me, it is saddening. Like even I find myself like, I got to put this thing down. Like, what am I doing? Why? Get out, go outside and touch some grass. And they do. It's almost like kids nowadays, especially with the rise of like Instagram and TikTok, kids are, instead of an investment and instead of a future, they're a purse. They're an accessory that people carry around and, I don't want to spend any time. So here's the iPad and here's the nanny and here's this and off these people go. And it's so sad. Like I long for the days when we didn't have all that stuff and you had to tape the phone numbers on the refrigerator. For the
things like that. Yeah. You had to actually know the phone number or have it like,
the easiest one to remember. My dad was like, this one's easy. It's called 911. Yeah. Got it, Dad. Thanks.
Oh, I had it on the list. This is the list. This is,
these are your order of importance. Okay?
Yeah. I that's such a dad thing. And I would update the list if we had any new neighbors or my kids had friends. So I wanted to always have the phone number for the friend's house. I was such an anal retentive dad. I'm sorry.
No, it's smart. It's smart.
Yeah.
There's
sorry. Right. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say there's so many parents and modern parents nowadays. And even, I would say even not even so much super, super modern, but there's so many parents in general that don't even know who their kids are hanging out with all day long. Right. These kids come home and especially when you have separated parents, if you have one parent that's more involved than the other, or they'll go over to Dad's house for the weekend and be like, oh, I've been hanging out with Joe. And it's like, who the heck is Joe? I've never heard of Joe before. And Joe turns out to be not good for your kid, but mom doesn't care because she's playing with a new boyfriend or whatever. Like, it's just all a bunch of drama. But there's just so many, kids are, And I think that we all have this propensity as we grow up anyway, we want to rebel a little bit. And so it's so important to know at the very least, like, okay, and their names are, so you can find out who the parent is and have that information just in case. It's just so important. So important.
It's just, critical that like who the friends are in their lives. So all of that stuff is important. But one of the things, knowing that I was going to raise kids in LA, I was like, oh my God, parents in LA are nightmares and kids in LA are idiots. How do I make sure my kids don't turn out like that? Well, I moved out of LA. I moved from like mid city to Pasadena area.
Oh, okay.
And even I went to like a parent teacher night when my daughter was in kindergarten. And I remember seeing because my goal was I'm going to raise 2 kids in the LA area who grow up to not be assholes. That was my goal. So
Please have more children.
Yeah. Well, so my daughter was in public school, and I remember going to the school and seeing that they were busing in some kids, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll get to know these. So I went to the parent teacher night for kindergarten in Pasadena public school and noticed that a lot of the parent teacher night, there weren't a lot of parents for some of these kids. And then you found out from talking to the teacher, well, so-and-so, this kid, his dad's in jail. Well, this kid, the dad's or the mom's a drug addict. And so she's not around. And so I was just like, oh, so my daughter's hanging with these kids. And look, the kids are innocent. I feel for these kids, right? They're not responsible for they're irresponsible people who had them. And I said, all right, no, hell no. This is not acceptable. I put my kids in a religious school, both of my kids, and it was not cheap. First semester, but they were well educated. They were around other good kids. We spent the money and then realized with all the money we're spending on tuition, we could move to a different school district and put that money towards a mortgage.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing that. We ended up all right, so we moved from Pasadena to a different area the number one thing was the schools. It was how good is the school? We moved to a place that has not too far from Pasadena in that area that has one of the top 10 rated high schools in the United States.
Wow.
CV High School, Crescenta Valley. So we moved in that area so they would eventually go to that high school. So it was all about the school. So once we decided where the school was and that there was low crime, and I think it's important you're going to decide on an area, you drive through the area at night.
Yes.
What's going on at night? And then we were looking for a house. So it's we found the school, we found a nice area, and then it was, all right, now we look for a house, right? And now I live in California and I can't afford a house.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, California's prices. Well, here too, in Vegas, we've gone up so much too.
I could afford a house in Vegas.
Well, yes.
I can afford a house in Vegas.
True.
I don't need I don't have kids now, so I'm not looking for something I'm looking for a home studio, nice play. Hey, you're back.
I'm back.
She rage quitted.
Just to complete my last thought, and that's the secret to raising kids.
Yeah.
Dang it. I missed it.
No.
It was a really good secret, but we can't talk about it now because it's a secret.
I mean, I can just look at the VOD after, I suppose.
There you go. Yeah. Break it down. But yeah, look, that was my literal goal. Vegas pricing has gone up quickly.
Yeah, it's gone. I mean, from so many Californians are dancing at the prices, oh heck yeah, this is great. But us people who live in Vegas, we're excuse me, please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah, it's gotten kind of nuts and out of control.
Yeah.
But no, my goal was to raise good kids who would be adults who could live life without me and know basic stuff. And that was sort of the biggest goal. My biggest goal was they're not going to grow up to be drug addicts. They're not going to get pregnant or get anyone else pregnant. They're going to be responsible about relationships before they choose to have children. not be a drug addict, just be like a good, productive citizen who contributes to society.
Mhm.
So, I'm proud of both of my kids have grown up. I'm so proud of both of them. My son is also a U.S. Marine. He's been a Marine for, God, over 10 years now.
Oh my
So
goodness.
he joined when he was like 19 years old. He did not like college. He thought people in college were stupid. I think that we think alike. I thought also people in college were pretty dumb. They were suckers for things, and I don't think they learned how to think about things in a critical way. It was weird. I felt weird in school. I'm a college dropout, by the way. I dropped out of college. Yeah.
I kind of have to agree with you in the sense that, like, this is coming from someone who went to the equivalent of college in Canada, and you do learn stuff. You learn how to learn, organize yourself through an agenda and whatnot. But the hard thing is there's so many courses you take or can take, and that give you no life skills when you finish.
I felt the same
so
way.
Much of school.
Yes, I felt the same way when I got out of high school. I felt cheated. And I took elective courses. I wanted to learn how to type. I took home ec. Why?
Yes.
I want to learn how to cook a Thanksgiving dinner, and I want to learn how to sew on a button myself. I took extracurricular courses to learn skills that would be useful, when I went out on my own, right? Like, and I left when I was like, 19, 20? I got like a $300 apartment in downtown Detroit. I lived in the maid's quarters of a mansion where a bunch of doctors that were going to school where they were living. And like, they had this little tiny 1-bedroom apartment. And I'm like, I'll take that. I loved it. It's great. When you get your first place that's not with your parents, isn't it like the greatest feeling in the world?
It feels so freeing.
It's so nice.
It's
so good.
Like, I bought a car when I was 14 because I couldn't wait. Like most young men are like, I'm gonna get a car because I want to go get laid. I want to go have sex. And I didn't care
Is that how it works?
I didn't care about that as much as I cared about, I want to see every movie that opens in theaters. So I was all about, like, I'm 16 now. Like, I don't need to ask my mom for a ride to go to the movies. I can just drive my car to the movies. It was the greatest. I loved it. So car represents freedom. Your own place represents freedom, and having life skills, whether it's like, but I will say, like, even in my dating experiences post my divorce have been awful, because like I'll like cook breakfast and it's as if I did a magic trick.
I remember you telling me that once upon a time.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know that women these days sort of come with basic skills.
They don't.
I mean, being able to heat up something you bought from Costco is one thing. Actually cooking a meal from scratch is different.
And breakfast is the easiest meal to make.
It's the easiest. It's
like,
so
stop
easy.
it. Like, it's a magic trick.
And I'm not sitting there trying to like, I'm not exactly the greatest cook, but I know how to cook a steak. I know how to cook like pork chops. I know how to get like a basic meal together, meal plan or whatever. So yeah, but when I left high school, I remember feeling cheated, thinking like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I have all these skills. I have some skills, but I took skills where I didn't get a very good grade in my typing class. I got a C, which brought down my GPA. I was really pissed off, and I scored high on the SAT and the ACT. I scored very high, but my GPA was lower because I took these elective classes because I wanted to learn things. But I was like, I don't know how to do my taxes. How do I do my taxes?
We never taught that stuff.
I wish I had that.
We did a job interview. I had a health, I think it was a health class. And the teacher was our substitute teacher for the remainder of the year. My junior year was a coach from some other school. And he was like, no, we're not doing this. He goes, we're going to do mock job interviews. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to ask you certain questions. And that was the most useful thing. And he taught us how to write out a checkbook. And he was there for like 2 weeks. And it was the most logical 2 weeks I ever had in school.
It's so
But that's life
simple.
skills. Writing a check is
home
not
ec isn't a thing
easy.
anymore. I want
No
to
one
home ec
does
so
it.
bad. You can't do home ec anymore. It's so
I would love to like just the basic. If something's too sour, you do this. You know, if they're feeling like you need something more for taste, you put like salt in or something like that. You know,
I mean, it's just those things aren't that hard. And luckily, I had a family that liked to cook at home. I mean, we just as a society go out to eat much more than we used to. I remember as a kid, we would go out to a restaurant a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a adventure.
Yeah, it was a special occasion or a
special occasion.
Now it's like once a week.
And now it is, well, I'm
maybe more.
And I'm thinking like, although I've cut back recently, one, because just inflation is insane. If you think it's bad where you live, in California, it is probably worst in the entire United States. It's awful. $6, $7 gas. It's nuts.
What?
So yeah.
Where I went, it was 4 something. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I've definitely had to like change a few things lifestyle wise, but I actually enjoy cooking, and so yeah, it's fun.
I think you and Gary should do a cooking stream. It'd be so funny watching the two of you.
Yeah, you said that what there should be the gourmet.
Yeah,
the gourmet.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
I love it.
But yeah, no, it was a big deal. Like going to McDonald's or going to like.
And McDonald's was actually decent food back then too. That's the wild part. Like
it was different.
They used to cook their fries in like beef tallow way back in the day. Like they were.
Oh, I love beef
top
tallow.
Notch.
I do remember McDonald's tasted different when I was a kid, and I remember even the burgers, the patties.
Yes,
they were proper patties.
They were proper actual patties instead of we're gonna pat it with like more bread or whatever. It's, look, and to me, fast food is a guilty pleasure. I can't. A couple times a month, I'll have it. It's usually when I'm drungry. But you've been there, so you know what that word means.
Yes.
Floor pizza.
Definitely. Those are good times though.
Drungry food is like drive-through burgers or pizza.
Oh my God. And with Uber Eats nowadays, if you're in a city, you don't even need to go.
Denny's. Like Denny's at 2 a.m. when you're completely wasted is the best.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh man.
It's so good.
I can't. What's weird is I can't bring myself to actually order from those apps. Because I don't want someone else touching my food. I mean, I know they touch it when
they box it up, so
right.
Sometimes you can't touch it without knowing they touched it.
I'm like, I'm gonna go do it myself. I'm gonna save myself the $20 fee.
I only do it when I'm on vacation, like when I go on the meetups and whatnot, because I don't have a car. It's more expensive to take an Uber to go to these places.
Yeah.
And you're going to Wisconsin. What? It's Wisconsin. You got to plug it.
I might meet up. So I know a bunch of the boys from Geeks and Gamers, like Josiah and Epic Mike, kind of live on the way. So I'm trying to convince them to come to Wisconsin. So I'll like stop in their town and then drive the rest with them. It'd be so fun.
Oh, you got to do it.
Like a road trip.
Yeah, because I'm going to drive anyway. It's cheaper to drive. Like $200 US.
Wow.
Not even Canadian for the gas.
Oh wow.
And that's even with inflated gas prices. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's $4.50 in that area generally, so for the gallon. But this is another thing that I find a lot of people don't know. It's like the vegetables and fruit. Growing your own, you can have such good food just from your own yard. That's not that hard to water it every day.
Yeah. Well, the food in Europe is so different. There's videos. I mean, you can find them all over social media. There's videos of. I remember last year, it was trending on TikTok. It was mostly girls doing it because we are just that way. But girls were literally making videos, and they were in shock because they're gluten intolerant or they're lactose intolerant, and there are all these intolerances and allergies, blah blah. And they're in Italy, the capital of pasta and bread, and they're eating pasta and bread, and they're not getting sick, and like all of this stuff, and they're like, "Oh my God, America sucks." Like,
well, if you look at the ingredient list, it's insane. Yeah,
there's
like
a lot
bread,
of words, and then pasteurized, blah 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 blah. The same with the ketchup, tomatoes.
Well, you can lose so much weight just living there. Not only is it the food quality, but in general, you're walking around more. There's not as many elevators. I also think like as much as having cold is good, like in the summers there, just sweating it out and let your body do its thing is also really good for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just bizarre. I have a friend that travels. He has a video game business, and he'll travel. He'll like go to Japan for a month. He always loses weight. He said the food in the United States is terrible. It's too processed.
Yeah.
It is not good. So
they have actual rules over there, like the food, even the McDonald's, like the food, their version of the FDA, whatever they call it in England and in Europe, is so strict that even their McDonald's is like their proper food over there. It's wild. It's insane to see the differences. It's crazy. And then when people come over here, vice versa, they're like, "What is this? This
fat, like so quickly over here."
Yeah.
No, it's disheartening where we are, and so, like I say, I'm not trying to say I was like perfect as a dad, but there were certain things that I look back, I'm like, oh, I got that one right. Like, and then forcing them. Look, it's not that my kids never ate treats like cupcakes or cake or whatever, but it had to be a special occasion. It had to be like a birthday, or they're going to a friend's, whatever, visiting grandma, fine. But like for the most part, dessert was fruit. And I feel like because they had that when they were young, that they're healthier kids. Neither of my kids have had any ailments of any significance, like none.
That's good.
That's amazing. Love it. I love it.
So I don't know how close we are to wrapping up, but I dug up something.
A video?
Is it the band video?
Okay.
No, not a band video of me feeding fake beer to my daughter. Although I've got to like, oh my God, I got to dig up that stuff. We would play practical jokes all the time.
I love it. While you're pulling it up, I'll read some super chats if that's okay.
Read some supers, but I have something to end the show that I think will be kind of cool. And it's a letter I sent my son when he was at boot camp for becoming a Marine. And it was like the longest period of time I didn't see my son up until that time of life, before he was an adult. I'd see my son all the time, and then he was going off to boot camp and I wasn't going to see him for like a couple months. And I sent him a letter while he was in boot camp.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. We'll literally end with that.
I think that's the way to go.
We got Cajun Corey for $4.99 says, thanks to X-Ray, a lot of guys came early to the stream. Cheers, Tugs, X-Ray, and Chris. Those that don't know.
Thanks, Agent Corey.
Awesome.
I set the stream to yesterday by accident.
Oh no!
Oh my God! Yes, I'm like texting her and like trying to get
so many people waiting for the stream.
Corey's messaging me like,
Eric K for $2 says, love Chris Gore and the ladies are okay too. Love you too, Eric.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Eric.
Awesome. John Thomas for $5. Chris, if you come to Dragon Con, I got a bike for you to ride. We'll go ride the Smokies.
I was at Dragon Con last month in September or late October, early September. Yeah, I'll be there next year. I already bought my tickets for Dragon Con.
Oh,
you need to go. Dragon Con is like your con. X-Ray girl.
If Gary goes, I'll go. Maybe
I would love to go.
You need to go. It is nerdy gras. It is the most fun I've ever had at a con.
I would love to go to Dragon Con.
So fun. It's just nonstop partying and cosplay.
Oh, it's the long weekend for Labor Day.
Labor Day weekend. So
okay.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Eric Stratton has become a Lush member. Thank you, Eric.
There you go.
And has also gifted 5 Poor Choices memberships. We got lots of Lushes in the chat. So thank you so much, Eric. Thank you.
Oh, it's a multi-genre convention. See, now that's where
that sounds fun. It sounds fun.
I've always wanted to go.
It was the question I kept getting when I was there. I run into people. They're like, hey, is Gary or the Geeks and Gamers guys coming? Where's Ryan? And I'm like, I don't know. They don't go to these things.
Maybe if we get like a panel for them, I'll just, chill out the side.
They could definitely do a panel or pitch themselves as wanting to do panels. But it's a con that I discovered and have been going to for years and love it. And it's super nerdy and it's very Southern because it's Atlanta, Georgia.
I've never been to a Southern state.
Atlanta,
Georgia
in August. It's Labor Day weekend. It's going to be sticky.
But you're indoors because everything takes place in like these 3 hotels that are connected.
That's fair. That's
So once you're
taking the
inside,
easy
you're
way
inside.
out.
Didn't you say the hotel rooms are sold out already, though?
Yeah, I think they're sold out, but you can get ones that are on the periphery. You'll be able to find something. I've already got some
an
good
Airbnb.
All right. You know what, Chris? I think that if you go, we have to get the same hotel because like Hugs and I know, like we do this all the time. If we're not in the same room, we'll have one room as the designated party room. I'm going to volunteer your room.
Yeah, it'll be my room. 100%.
And then
I'll do that.
We'll
always
come and have some drinks with you.
I set up a bar. I set up a bar in my room always.
Yes.
I get drinks. I set up a bar. I've got a whole system.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Well, I know. I've seen your system.
You know what to do.
You know the ways to save money.
Yeah, I'm a budget-minded drinker. Let's just say that.
Yeah. It's too bad you can't accessorize because I have this bracelet that you can put like alcohol in, so you can like.
Oh, the
drink.
flask, the big chunky one. I've seen that.
There are other ways. There are other ways. I'll teach you.
Oh,
just get that.
Okay. Oh, I'll get the water bra. Water bra.
Get the water bra. Yeah.
I'll be like, Chris, you want some? You're like, hell yeah.
Or you do what you do the backpack. You do the backpack with the camel pack.
Look,
and instead of water in the camel pack, you put
the boob pack.
There's many ways to do
it. We used to sneak alcohol into Disney just like this. We would have our like tumbler cups, and we would fill them with alcohol instead, or the tiny liquor bottles. You take the labels off them, or hand sanitizer bottles, the little tiny hand sanitizer bottles. You empty them out, rinse them out, wash them out. You put your alcohol and stuff in there. They don't check that stuff. You're welcome.
There you go.
That's how you bring alcohol into Disney. You're welcome.
Got Dadcast and Drunkcast tips.
Yes, this is like Drunkcast.
Valiant Renegade.
Hey.
Hello. By the way, we need to have you on, sir.
Yes.
For
Didn't you just hit 50,000?
I think so. I saw 49,999.
I think you did.
Assuming.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Valiant. Awesome.
How did I not know of this lovely channel before? Hail, Tugs, and X-Ray. Oh, and Chris too. Uncorking Chile. Chilean Merlot at 3, 2, 1. You know the words to my heart, sir.
Excuse me. Can you send me a photo of that label so that I can look for it at Total Wine, because they have literally everything.
Yes.
Thank you.
To be fair, it's only been 5 weeks since we've done like the Dadcast portion.
That's true.
You probably didn't want to be here for the other stuff. To be fair,
I've watched some of those streams. They're hilarious.
It depends on if you're into like that type of content. Which I mean, you and I, we've talked about whatever podcast, Fresh and Fit, and what we liked and what we didn't like. And I haven't watched a whatever podcast in a long time. How about you?
Oh, I'll have it on. It's a guilty pleasure.
Every Sunday night.
Yeah, Jerry Springer doesn't exist, so it's fun to kind of tune in. I don't watch like whole episodes, but I'll watch like chunks
if it's on.
And I feel bad for some of the, like, a woman left the show. She walked. Hey, 50K, Valiant.
Cheers.
Congrats. But I saw a girl walk off the show on Sunday.
Oh,
and
why?
I really felt bad for her. I don't think it was anything that the host Brian said. I think she just had this realization as she was telling stories about herself. She never really had a moment of self-reflection, and she lost it on camera. It was really sad to see, but
was it about herself? Like how?
Like maybe she was sleeping around a little too much, and it was like affecting relationships.
Oh my God.
Like,
when you realize the stuff that you've done to mess up your own life,
especially in public. Oh, that sucks.
Oh, it's
the
worst.
She was not ready for it. She was not ready for it. And you know, I mean, it'd be interesting to see, like, I mean, I think Simpcast is kind of a female version of that. Like, but, you know, I do appreciate that conversations are being had between men and women, and ones that can be sometimes harsh to kind of break some of the, you know, what do they call that? Zombie lies, or just things that, like, it's not really true. Like a commonly held belief that is not really true. Like,
yeah.
I think those conversations need to be had. I think it's useful, but I think there might be a better way of going about it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll maybe have to watch that episode.
I definitely would not watch that. That poor girl. Oh, my heart goes out to you. You're never going to see this.
I felt for her.
Out to you. I understand completely what.
And we all go through it at some point.
I get it, girl.
Most of them, maybe not all.
Yeah. And Brian felt bad. He felt like, did I do something? And he was trying to like kind of do a self-inventory. I just think he gets a little too aggressive. He could be more empathetic about people's circumstances, but I think some people need that tough love. I do think that some people need a little bit of tough love or just reality in their face. And also people have different values. You see some of those girls on there and they're like perfectly happy in their situation.
And that's fine if you are happy doing that.
Fine.
But I think especially when you're, I'll say at least for me, under 25, 26, it really felt like the liberation of sex and all that for females. It felt empowering, the idea of it, but then when you actually enact it, I'm like, am I really? And it's kind of funny because Red Pill will say, in the end, the guys get more sex because you're more loosey-goosey with picking your partner. So in the end, the males win. So at least the 1% that they always go on about that. But I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, as I found, it's the one from, it says streamed 1 day ago. It's a 3 hour, and they have a timestamped 3 hour. And 45 minutes.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Well, I mean, Chrissy does a thing called Whatever Wednesdays, where she actually just sort of
Thursdays now.
Is it Whatever Thursdays? Yeah, whatever it is.
I love her. Whatever.
Whatever Wednesday is a better name.
Yeah.
The alliteration.
She kind of just like scrubs through the show and like they go over the highlights. It's this guy who's the co-host plays clips for Chrissy.
Phoebe, I'm just going to throw this out here. I think we call that SA, aka what wine is made out of, and she should file a police report with that one.
Right,
So
right.
The only thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff. Like I definitely felt for her, and she left of her own accord that she just didn't feel comfortable.
I think having that realization, and most people have it in private so that you can reflect, but since they're forcing it out of her, or like with friends, because I'm sure her friends were like, you did the right thing, you go girl, all the the building people up statements. And so when you find someone who actually puts you in the right path to understand what happens, it can be crushing.
But I think having those kind of realizations like publicly,
it's not good.
Well, I think it's helpful for people watching. I just feel for the person going through it.
And was she someone who had a public persona?
I don't remember. I mean, I literally will, I'll come. I have like something I had to do at my place. I put it on, but my full attention is not on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's in the background. I'm cleaning.
You hear something, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I won't lie. I think it's better that it was Brian and not any of the other Red Pill podcast hosts.
Imagine pressure.
I don't watch any of the other ones. Yeah,
because they're a bit too harsh. And when you get told you're a hoe, a whore, all those things, you tend to tune it out. All the advice.
Yeah.
So maybe he was the one to get her to break through that mentality.
Girl, it's gonna be okay, girl. Go buy yourself a bottle of wine and your favorite cheese snack or whatever snack, Oreos, doesn't matter. Cry it out. You're gonna be. I promise you, you're gonna be okay.
Have a good time. Be single for a while is probably a good idea too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cajun Corey, member for 13 months, says, "Great meeting you, Chris, in Dallas."
Oh, that's great. Yes, I will be back to Dallas.
I can't wait. That was a fun. We have to stay at that Airbnb that myself, Kara, and Max was at, because that was like.
Was it better?
It was amazing. It's like a 2-bedroom Airbnb. There was so much space, loft style, and like a 10-minute walk from the convention, so it wasn't too far.
Oh, wow.
John Thomas for 5 says, Tugs, X-Ray, a vlogger, Allison Morrow. She simps for Argentine high altitude wine. YouTube and Rumble. Make sure you spell it right.
Her name or the wine? Because I'm confused.
I'm confused too, John.
Also, Argentinian wine is so freaking good.
It is. The latitude. Is it the latitude? Yeah, the latitude is perfect for that type of wine. Okay.
Altitude. The altitude.
No, the latitude, because it's the how far you are from the equator.
Isn't
Right?
that the altitude?
No, altitude is
We
height.
sound so dumb right now.
Yeah, altitude is
Your
height.
latitude and your longitude.
Well, anyways, Chris Gore,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming on to Dadcast.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Want to hear this letter?
Yeah. One last thing. So to give context to this, my son really wanted to leave home, and he was kind of trapped, and he decided like he was going to he really did a lot of investigation, decided he was going to join the Marines. So I saved a bunch of the letters that I sent him, and I wasn't going to see him. It would be the longest time that I had not seen him like ever. Like I'd say, I mean, it was my son. Grew up, raised him, and there you go. So I sent him a letter, and I said, I hope this letter. So this is me talking to my son, and I sent it because I wasn't going to see him for Thanksgiving because he was at boot camp to become a Marine. So there you go. I won't read the whole thing. I'll just give you some of the highlights because it's a chunk. So, but I'll give it to you. It says, "Hello, son. Hope this letter makes it to you before Thanksgiving. We're all going to miss you a lot. I do hope you get to eat some turkey and watch some football. The Lions always play on Thanksgiving, so think of me if you're watching the game." Now, I would never pretend to know it all. I certainly don't know everything about everything. I'm not that arrogant. A lot of what I know is fairly worthless, unless I'm surrounded by movie geeks. But I've learned something about life in my years. What you'll read on the following is something I've been working on for quite some time. I wanted to give it to you on your birthday or some momentous occasion. But as you get close to finishing boot camp, perhaps some of these pieces of wisdom will come in handy, or at least give you some important things to think about. I hope you keep this particular letter to read in years to come, perhaps adding your own thoughts or amending mine to pass along to your own son someday. I love you, Dad. So, and then I basically typed out a list. And here's from that list. It says some important things you need to know, along with some tools to navigate through life. Take time to think. Just think. Others may call it meditation. I call it thinking. A time to relax your mind without distractions. You'll be surprised what you discover when distractions are held at bay and you can listen to yourself. Take your work seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. A sense of humor is not only disarming, it's a great way to make new friends. Strive to succeed, but never be afraid to fail. Demand excellence from yourself and others. The only leverage in negotiation, whether business or personal, is the ability to walk away. Make it look easy, and remember that people who are busy are incompetent. Being nice is an overrated virtue. Love fully, and remember that when your heart breaks, it will mend. Girls are awesome. Sometimes in their presence, you will be powerless. Submit. The girl comes with a family. Make sure you really like them. When you lose someone you love, a part of them remains with you forever. Don't pretend it's not there just because you've moved on. Make money and then spend it. Give it to charity, but do it strategically. Never stand by and watch injustice. Do something. Political correctness is the enemy of truth. Stupidity should never be rewarded. Be a contrarian. You'll see things others don't. The only thing that ultimately exists are other people. Choose wisely who you spend your time with. Relationships with people are more important than money. If you are interested, you will be interesting. There may not be a God, but act as though there is. Sometimes life is the pursuit of the perfect sports coat. Life is so I'm just trying to say, give him some fashion advice. Whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. You hand over power to bullies by being affected by them. Don't ever give them the power. Smile, even when you do not feel like it. The smile will brighten your mood and those of others. Give something to the homeless, money, a drink, something. They'll appreciate it, and you'll build up good karma. If you respect others, they will give respect in return. Avoid debt. Use credit for convenience, but never build up a debt you can't pay. Seek out experiences. Avoid possessions. And then I put in parentheses, remember all my stuff in the garage? I'm still trying to get rid of it. Possessions can be a burden and one you'll want to avoid. It's not much longer, just a little bit more. Travel, see the world. It will open your mind in ways you never thought possible. Keep an open mind. Listen. Everyone appreciates a listener. And the best negotiating tactic is silence. Works every time. A long pause will usually create tension that will work in your favor. And then I said, use this Jedi power wisely. Women are a gift. Treasure the women who choose to spend their time with you. Peer pressure feeds on the weak-minded. A strong will puts the power of choice in your hands. And always remember, others may hate you, but those who hate you don't win unless you hate them. For only then will you destroy yourself.
I feel like this is some Jedi list. I love
This
it.
needs to be
Now-
framed in the Louvre.
Well, and then I just said love dad and then PS. And finally, this is a classic because I used to tell my kids this all the time when I would drive them to school. I'd say, don't be an idiot and don't do stupid shit.
And if you
was my
do stupid shit, don't call me.
So that is something I sent to him. Knowing my son, I'm sure he still has that letter. And it was just like little pieces of advice that other people had given me or I heard or my dad heard. And like little, like, I mean, look, you can read books about one of those topics, but that last quote about others may hate you, that was a variation on a quote from Nixon when he left office. Like I never forgot that quote because it ties into a lot of kind of what you do, even as being a public facing or being on YouTube. That quote, I want to repeat it because I think it's really important. And it's something that because I'll put like positive affirmation, like just like things, not like, God, I had this girlfriend once that would buy like those dumb things that live, life, love. Like all those cheesy, you get them at TJ Maxx.
Live,
like,
laugh, love.
Yeah. It's wine o'clock, you know?
Yeah.
No, I like that one.
I have
Don't
one
say
that says,
anything bad.
Happy Halloween.
No, but okay, those are cheesy, but like I would literally, if I was going through a struggle time, I would write something on a Post-it, just put it on my monitor. Because you look at it and like I would take like, this is something I learned like years ago, is I learned this from Olympic athletes. Olympic athletes would make a list of their goals and then they would put them in their wallet. Because you look at your wallet every day, right? At least when we had physical wallets that had money in it. So I started doing this in like the late 80s. I would write out a list of goals and I'd put a piece of paper and I would take the year and those are my goals for the year. And I'd put the list in my wallet. And to this day, I still have a list. Like, so because I look and then I'll look at it and I'll go, oh, I got to remember to do all that stuff. And I always feel proud and I'm like, oh, wow, I did about half of this. Next year, I'll do more. But this quote, always remember, others may hate you, but those who hate you, they do not win unless you hate them. For only then will you destroy yourself. So if you hate others, it's just gonna come back on you.
It's a negative feedback loop.
Right.
Right.
So it's just, that's something just like I sent it to him. I'll remind him. God, I sent that to him in 2013. So that was 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
I sent that letter to him.
Wow.
But it like, it was, look, I can't sit here and tell you I was the perfect dad. I did the best I could under the circumstances. Things didn't work out in the marriage, but I have 2 kids that aren't assholes.
That's
Have
all
you?
that matters.
Yeah. Have you seen kids in college today?
Oh my God. It's
Have you seen what's been going
like,
on?
they're still like teenagers.
It's
Almost.
disheartening. They're children. They're children because
Mhm.
to me, the distinction is you become an adult when you can control your emotions. So when you can think, so you have a filter on your emotions, say, you know what? Maybe there's a different way to react to this. Or maybe there's a different way. And of course, I'm the one that like I get mad because they change someone's costume in a superhero movie, right? So like this is like and those things I don't consider to be particularly important, but a lot of things are important. So choosing the level at what you react to stuff is important. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And
Anyways,
those are great words. Honestly, Chris, hats off to you. I haven't met any of your kids yet, but I am sure they are very good, seeing as how you are as an adult, and how you move through the world. The people who speak of you speak so highly of you. So if you've imparted that on your kids, then I can choose to believe that they're just like you. I'll probably like them. So
Oh yeah.
I think my kids are cooler than I am. I think, like I'm sort of still like a man child surrounded by, toys and all this crazy weird
just
pop
think of
culture
Gary.
stuff.
You'll feel better.
That's true.
That's
That's true.
true.
He has more stuff than I do.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, cool. Well, thanks for having me on. And I'll see you tomorrow on the Nooner.
Yes, of course.
I'll be on
Of
the
course.
Nooner. And there you go.
Chris, do you have anything else coming up today, tomorrow, besides the Nooner, of course?
No, I'm gonna cook myself a steak. I'm gonna wash my car. I'm gonna do manly stuff.
How
Ooh.
great
Do manly stuff right now. I'm gonna go lift some weights. Just gonna do some manly stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, lift them weights, Chris. Hugs. Anything you want to promote?
Or is it tonight? Party Animals? Yes.
Party Animals
With Kara and
Oh my God. I started watching Geeks and Gamers started playing that game last night. I'm like, what is this new game that I'll just not play?
Ridiculous looking.
It looks ridiculous, but I'm excited.
I blame Kara for bringing this into our lives because
she is always finding the weirdest
I
games.
don't understand where she gets it, but it looks so funny, like little plushies angry at each other and you know what? At least we won't cry about Cutie this time.
Oh, that's right. I want to be the cow. I was looking at the trailer on. We'll talk about this on our stream, but I want to be the cow.
Yeah,
Blame the cow.
But yeah. So tomorrow, Poor Choices at 9, as per usual. No guest. It'll be a lot of commentary on stuff happening today, and
including Britney Spears, hopefully.
I think
I'll
we
send
can
it to
fit
you.
it in.
I'll
We
send
can fit it
it.
in.
Oh
but
my God. The gaming streams, they're fun. They're super fun.
Very lighthearted.
You're having fun or you're frustrated. It's great. Even the group ones are even more fun when it's like you, Garrett, and Az.
Sunday Funday. Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So fun.
But Chris, one day we'll get you to play a game with us.
All right, I will. We'll play. Gary and I will play YouTube Star. I want to play it with him because I know it's terrible. Like, I don't want to play a good video game. I want to play a good video game. I want to enjoy it. I want to play it on bad so we can make fun of it.
Yeah.
It'll be on my Twitch, your YouTube channel, and I think Kara's on Twitch as well.
I think she's concentrating on YouTube now. So yeah.
I think Holocron has all the links.
Yeah. Thanks, Holocron.
And thank you to everyone in the chat. I appreciate your comments. And wise words. And I hope I didn't come off. A friend of mine was saying, I watch your streams. I like them. You're a little too lectury. And I'm like, I am? And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I am. I can be a little too lectury.
That's the point of the stream though, is like people coming to you about advice and, you know,
right.
We're going to get a little bit of a lecture here. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all.
That's why I like doing the show with Alan, because he balances me out and he doesn't always agree with me. And I like that. But Alan and I are very similar in the sense that like we both have daughters. We're both very based. I didn't even know anything about him when we first met. It's just like, oh, you're a good writer. And then like we sort of discovered like, oh, we have a lot more in common than that. We both like to listen to Howard Stern, or at least back when he was more fun. But Anyways, you got to go play a game.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you guys. And we will
everybody.
see you next time. Bye.
Bye.